Identify quality assurance issues in an assessment system. Presented by Henri Tan. In this assessment system, there are two quality assurance issues. 1. Institutional pressure, and 2. Lack comprehensive assessment policy. Let's talk about the institutional pressure. And this is in terms of the training institution facing pressure to chalk up the number of competent learners. So, how can we overcome such institutional pressure? There are 4 ways. First, appoint different assessors. Training institutions should not be allowed to appoint the same few assessors to conduct the same assessment. Instead, training institutions must appoint different assessors to conduct the same assessments throughout the year. Having different assessors increase the probability of objectivity. 2. Emphasize assessors' code of conduct. Training institutions must constantly remind the assessors their code of conduct. Each assessor should be given a copy of the code of conduct before each assessment. Each assessor can be asked to sign on a copy of the code of conduct before every assessment. Doing so reminds assessors the need to maintain credibility and professionalism. The third way to prevent training institutions chalking up the number of competent candidates is to form team assessment. Having 2 or more assessors coming together to conduct an assessment increases the objectivity of assessment, and this in turn enhances stakeholders' confidence of the assessment processes. Fourth, conduct rigorous validation. The authority should ensure that the regular validation is not carried out by a single person, and neither should it be carried out by the same person. Instead, training institutions must appoint different assessors to conduct the same assessments throughout the year. Doing so enhances the objectivity and validity of the WSQ system. Now, we move on to talk about the second quality assurance issue, which is the lack of comprehensive assessment policy. Training institutions usually have very comprehensive assessment plan, but do not have an assessment policy which has the same level of comprehensiveness and rigor. These are some of the items that normally appear in an assessment policy. There are other components which are equally important but usually are missed out in the assessment policy. And I want to recommend that the following 3 components be reflected in the assessment policy. 1. Having a list of common glossary of terms. Having a glossary of terms in the assessment policy facilitates common understandings among the management, supervisors, learners, facilitators, and assessors. We cannot assume that all these stakeholders have identical understanding, since majority are not ACTA trained. Some of these terms that should be reflected in the glossary are practical performance, observation, role play, performance statement, and underpinning knowledge. 2. Mandatory assessors' professional development. We should make it mandatory for assessors to continually upgrade their knowledge and skills in relation to developing and conducting assessment. Assessors must provide evidence of continuing professional development within a specific time frame. This approach will ensure assessors sharpen their skills as an assessor, and also ensure assessors are kept abreast of new trends and development in assessment. Last but not least, establish quality assurance checklists. This will create awareness of the specific standards among training institutions, and will also provide opportunities for them to conduct self-evaluation. Using such a standardized checklist to conduct self-critique will be beneficial for all the stakeholders of these training institutions. In conclusion, having a comprehensive assessment policy allows shareholders to develop mutual understanding and establish common expectations, which in turn enhance the credibility of the entire assessment system. This slide ends my presentation. Thank you.